Cavadini said he grabbed the 9mm he carries for protection and jumped out of the side of the truck. He started to run away, then turned and fired 5 shots into the side of the UFO. Eggs from space are about to hatch. Scientists await the greatest event of the century. It's also further down here. Wacko refuses to wear clothes to court, says cop. We won't talk about that one though. Space alien eggs that were found floating in the Atlantic near Antarctica in 1967 are definitely going to hatch. Possibly by the end of spring. That's the word from Soviet geneticist Alexei Okolov, who has monitored the condition and development of the watermelon-sized eggs for the past 22 years. He now says their gestation period is almost over. The hatching of these eggs, and there's over 22 of them, will be the greatest event of the century, Dr. Okolov told reporters in Moscow. The gestation period has been unusually long, but I'm convinced they will hatch by May or June. It's funny that they say unusually long, like they've hatched alien eggs before. Anyways, at that time, we'll have the opportunity to observe an extraterrestrial species develop from infancy to adulthood. There's no end to what we could learn from the creatures that come out of these eggs. Okolov refused to say where the green, leathery eggs are being kept, or why the Soviets waited so long to tell the world about Project Starchild, their incredible effort to hatch eggs from the starship. He did say that the crew of an East German freighter plucked them out of the sea near the wreckage of the starship that crashed 250 miles east of Antarctica back in 1967. The eggs were floating in a protective capsule that looked as if it was made out of a clear plastic, said Dr. Okolov. Analysis later showed that it was actually metal, but of an unknown type. It's not clear whether the eggs were jettisoned before the crash of the starship, or if they simply survived the impact. Analysis of the eggs themselves have conclusively proved their extraterrestrial origins, he continued. The embryonic aliens inside of them have 2 legs, 2 arms, and a torso like humans. But they already have heads much bigger than those of adult humans. And strangely enough, most of their internal organs are nothing like those found in humans. X-rays show that they have clusters of hearts, gills, as well as lungs and small wings on their back, said Dr. Okolov. Their feet and hands are webbed, and they have very fine scales too. It would appear that these aliens have adapted to life on land, in the air, and underwater. They are unquestionably a highly advanced life form, much more advanced than humans. The geneticist's report got mixed reviews from experts in the West. Some, like French biologist Paul Martin, hailed the Soviets for spending so much time and money on the eggs to make sure that they hatch. Others, like Belgian UFO researcher Franz Rossetti, condemned the efforts and called for the immediate destruction of the eggs. Nobody knows what these hatchlings will be like, and that means the whole world could be in peril, he said. How do we know that these creatures will be friendly, or if they'll cooperate with us at all? They may have been sent here to take over the world. We've got to destroy them now, before it's too late. And, in case you were wondering, here's an artist's conception that shows space alien eggs in the protective capsule, as they were first seen by the crew of an East German freighter which plucked them out of the Atlantic back in 1967. Why that crew just didn't take a photo, I don't know. But they drew it, so it's pretty cool. So, Moving on from just alien eggs to full-on UFOs. We have this article. UFO tried to kill, so I shot it. Tough guy here. A truck driver claims to have shot a UFO with 5 bullets from a 9mm automatic, partially disabling the craft before it glowed bright green and then disappeared. Shocking, I know, that the UFO disappeared, but anyways. Sergio Cavadini, 42, was not injured in the encounter on a lonely highway near Ancona, Italy. But he told cops that he feared for his life and would have killed the extraterrestrial's pilot and crew without hesitation. The UFO swooped out of the sky and tried to force me off the highway, Cavadini told reporters. What was I supposed to do? Let them kill me? I pulled over and shot as fast as I could. It's my gunshot noises. The terrifying drama apparently unfolded around midnight on November 28th. Cavadini said he was hauling a load of vegetables from Ancona when the saucer-shaped craft shot out of the sky and began following him on the highway. I almost had a heart attack right there behind the wheel. The thing was green and glowing and at least 150 feet long. I stomped on the accelerator, but it stayed right behind me. So I slammed on the brakes, but it stopped too. Then, it nudged the side of my truck and tried to push me off the road. Cavadini said he grabbed the 9mm he carries for protection and jumped out of the side of the truck. He started to run away, then turned and fired 5 shots into the side of the UFO. When I fired, the UFO listed to one side as it hovered in midair. Then it glowed bright green and disappeared. Ancona police did corroborate that Cavadini's truck was dented, but refused to say if they believed a UFO caused the damage. They also acknowledged that they received 50 reports from people who claimed to have seen a bright green flying saucer on the night of November 28th. But, again, they refused to say if the sightings of Cavadini's encounter were related. I used to think flying saucers were all a hoax, Cavadini said, but I believe in them now. I can imagine that this Cavadini guy, he gets in trouble at work a lot. You know, he's showing up late all the time for shipments. Maybe he's drunk, I don't know. Shooting his gun off recklessly at birds or UFOs, apparently. So I don't know. The night before, his boss says, like, if you're late one more time, Cavadini, we're gonna have to fire you. And now it's, you know, the night that this thing's going on. And he's like, oh my god, I'm gonna be late. I'm gonna lose my job. My wife's gonna leave me. I gotta get there. And then he, like, cuts somebody off on the road, gets a huge dent in his car, starts freaking out because he's damaged company property. I don't know. Gets out of the truck, maybe talks to the guy he hit, pays him off with, like, some money and some vegetables or whatever he had in the truck. And then he comes up with this crazy UFO story to explain the dent in his truck. They're not going to fire somebody that got attacked by a UFO, right? And then maybe, just to make it more believable, he starts calling the local police department in all these different voices and accents, saying like, oh, I just saw a green UFO flying over the forest in this area. That's why they got 50 reports, but they're all from Cavadini. Okay, I'm sorry. Anyways, let's do one more article for you. This one's called Hairy Spaceman Kidnap Cop. Officer Cohen said, the spacemen were furry like Chewbacca, the Wookiee creature in Star Wars. Ooh. So, rookie cop Martin Cohen says he was kidnapped by furry space aliens during an evening stroll. Dozens of witnesses say his incredible story is true. The 21-year-old British man said he was bathed in a glowing purple light that beamed him skywards. At the time, he was taking a walk in a park in Roundhay, an English village north of Leeds. It was about 10:30 p.m., and I was walking to the Mansion House Hotel to have a drink with a friend when suddenly I saw a purple glow, Cohen said. The next thing I knew, I was being lifted off the ground and carried away. My body went numb, and my head started spinning. Sounds like this guy might have had a few sneaky pints before meeting up with his friend. Then, I saw forms that appeared to be women. They looked like they could be human. Then I just blacked out. From Cohen's description, the furry creatures looked like Chewbacca, the Wookiee in Star Wars. Cohen then said he had no recollection of where he was taken or what happened to him from the time he blacked out. Eventually, he came to, sprawled on the ground 8 hours later. Cohen's unconscious body was found early the following morning by park jogger Mike Cochran, 23. He said he saw the glowing purple light that seemed to come out of nowhere less than 100 feet in front of him. At first I thought I was just seeing things, Cochran said. Then, I noticed the body of a man laying on the ground. There had been no body on the ground before the light appeared. My first impression was that this was a dead body. I was very frightened and in a state of shock. When the man I now know as Martin Cohen came to, he was very weak and in a cold sweat. He just kept rambling on and on about somewhere else and having a weird experience. Even before Cohen's ominous abduction story was made public, other people had seen a purple glow shimmering in the park near Mansion House Hotel. We had many calls from people who wouldn't identify themselves, recalled Angela Friend, an investigative reporter for the Yorkshire Evening News. We made a careful investigation into the story, but we weren't able to come up with much, she told the news. It's just one of those things that can't be proved or disproved. It's a real mystery. And here's a detailed map showing where aliens abducted the policeman, I guess. Well, yeah, London's down there, Roundhay up there, Leeds. Okay. Well, what did you think of those? Are you a believer now? I wonder what happened to those eggs. Anyways, like I said, I really enjoy reading these silly news articles for you. So if you have any strange news you want me to check out, feel free to email it to me, scarystories@2am@gmail.com. I'll cut it there for now, though. I hope you're having a good night, and I hope you're treating yourself well. You really do deserve it. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.